Surprise!
We're taking the EdUp Experience podcast to Insights EDU. Join us for an incredible higher education marketing and enrollment management conference, February 20th to 22nd in Phoenix, Arizona. Register now at insightsedu.com and use promo code EdUp to save $50 off your registration. Commencement, the beginning of a new era in higher education, is
amazing.
Thousands of copies have been sold across the United States and the world. You can pick up your copy today on Amazon. Welcome back, everybody. It's your time to EdUp on the EdUp Experience podcast, where we make education your business. Dr. Joe Salustio back with you again. And you guys have probably been reading the news. I know we have a very engaged audience here at the EdUp Experience. As we like to refer to our audience, I don't know if any of you know this, but when Elvin and I talk about our audience, we call our audience the EdUppers. I don't know if you like to be called an EdUpper, but if you're listening to this podcast, you definitely are. And if you are watching the news and you are listening to this podcast, you know something that has come up before that we have discussed, and primarily have been discussing it with our presidents and those we interview outside of the United States, is this idea of a 3-year bachelor's degree. Very popular in the United Kingdom. In fact, way back when one of the OPMs that we interviewed was working with the University of London, who was offering a 3-year bachelor's degree, and they were offering it through the OPM. That's not ideal, though, is it? What's ideal, I think, is an organic 3-year United States 90 credit hour bachelor degree. And boy, has time been ticking, and I've been like, who the heck is innovative enough to get on this sucker? And then somebody presented themselves to me. In fact, the whole time this was happening, he never let on that it was happening, even though I've had him as a guest and as a guest co-host on this podcast. But we have him back now as a guest again. He's guest, then guest co-host, guest co-host, guest co-host, guest. He has hit we call it the triple crown, or he's got 2 of the 3. The third is to host your own episode of EdUp without me. We got to get him that one. Ladies and gentlemen, here he is back again. Dr. Bruce Kusch, he's president of Ensign College. Bruce, welcome back.
Thank you, Joe. Great to be back.
Bruce, this is, I call this kind of like a scoop. I feel like I'm getting the scoop here because I'm getting you on audio. And you have had something pretty spectacular happen at Ensign College with BYU. And I saw and read an article that says the first 90 credit hour bachelor's degree in the U.S. What the heck is going on at Ensign College?
Yeah, so we are way beyond excited about this. And the reason that I didn't say anything is I was sort of sworn to secrecy by the accreditor as we were going through the process.
Know that I shouldn't count in that. You should be able to give me the inside scoop.
Well, you are in a different part of the country, right?
That's right.
But we had to really keep this under wraps until we had official approval. But this is something we've been working on for some time. Actually, it even in some ways dates back to some of the work that I did at BYU, Idaho and Rexburg, Idaho back in 2009, 2010, when we started sort of kicking around this concept. But it really, we really started to get some traction, I think, probably in the last 6 months or so, as we decided it was time to move this forward. And we did it in conjunction with BYU Idaho, a sister school up in Rexburg, Idaho, where I spent, as I affectionately call it, 11 winters in Rexburg, Idaho.
Amazing.
And so we submitted this to the Northwest Commission on Colleges and Universities a couple of months ago, and they, it took some time for it to work through their approval cycle and with their commissioners, and there were conversations with state schools in the state of Washington, the state of Idaho. We had some conversations with schools here in Utah, and we were optimistic that it was going to get approved. There is a feeling with this accreditor that they want to be involved in innovative things, and so we got the green light and we announced it last week.
So what happened, if anybody read that article and they work in higher ed, is they're starting to think to themselves,
Son of a.
but because they weren't first. And we've been talking about this, other countries are doing it. And it's like, why can't we do this in the United States? And you've done it. And it's funny because I was at a school yesterday. So as people listen, we're going to try to get this episode out really fast because of this content. But yesterday for me, as I record this, I was at an institution giving a presentation about the future of higher ed. And I said, from the time you booked me to speak 3 weeks ago to today, Ensign College and with BYU Idaho released a 90 credit hour bachelor's degree. I said, if you don't think higher ed is changing, then you're not watching. And there are innovators making it happen. And then I said, there's going to be like an arms race to get this now.
Yeah.
And anybody who's sitting in their institution that is not thinking about this, I can guarantee you there are some of us that are, and we're going like this.
Execute Order 66.
Because we need to get it too. And I just, from on behalf of all the people out there, how did you get this done? You kind of said the process, but how did it happen? You had to get faculty on board. What did you cut out? How did you make those decisions?
So, we have a relatively small faculty, and when we presented the concept, there was a little bit of uneasiness initially. And then as we explained what we were trying to do and how this will really help students, and I should point out that this degree will be offered through our partnership with BYU Pathway Worldwide, and they're serving 60,000 or more students around the globe. This first offering will be an online only offering to that both BYU Idaho and Ensign College offers to this particular student population. I can't speak for BYU Idaho and their own time frame, but Ensign College has every intention of submitting another request to our accreditor in the coming days to get authorization to offer these same degrees on campus on our Salt Lake City campus. So we think we're hopeful that by the end of the year, we will be offering 90 credit degrees, both online and to our students that come here to Salt Lake City. So we let the accreditor know months ago that this is something that we were thinking about. So we counseled with them. We wanted to make sure that they understood what we were trying to do, why we were trying to do it. And we're very fortunate, again, as I said, that we've got an accreditor and a president of the commission, Sunny Ramaswamy, who is very, very supportive of innovative things in higher education. I was talking to somebody just yesterday afternoon who had been at a small gathering of university presidents, and they were talking about our announcement, and they were sort of lamenting that they were hoping they wanted to do something similar, but their proposals had sort of fallen on deaf ears by their accreditors, and they felt like they were being constrained a little bit because the accreditors weren't on board with what they were trying to do, and they didn't know how to deal with that, and they wanted to know how we dealt with it. And outrageous. It was really just because we had an accreditor that was open to doing something innovative, and that they saw the benefit of it. Sonny, when he was quoted in the article that was in Inside Higher Ed, talked about his own research on why 120 credits and where that came from and the history behind it. And so, he believed in the same rationale as us, that this is a standard that we understand where it came from, but maybe it's a standard that should be reconsidered. Perhaps not in every case, but certainly merits reconsideration for the vast majority of students.
Bullseye.
So the beauty in this, first of all, I don't know who your director of marketing is or your VP of marketing, but what a gift to hand over to somebody and say, run with this. And I was using you as an example in this presentation I was giving, and I said, this guy Bruce Kusch, I said he's innovative. By the way, he's my best friend. I told the crowd that, and I said, 3-year bachelor's degree. All right, so now. Hard to compete against the college down the street or in your area when you offer the same programs in the same length of time, because then your differentiation is about student service or what you offer. Harder to compete against. It's harder to compete against the public who says that higher education is not needed or you don't need a 4-year degree anymore. That's very hard to compete against because you don't get to be in that conversation typically, and you have to convince somebody into something. Even harder to compete against an institution that's offering a 3-year degree when you have a 4-year degree, because, well, you're just cutting out an entire year's worth of time. If anybody just runs a cost-benefit analysis on that and says, I can come out with the same thing, work for a year, invest X dollars, I'm going to make $1 million more over my lifetime.
Sure.
It's just an incredible value proposition that you get to run with now. What are you going to do? What do you do with that? I have so many questions, Bruce. I can't even get them out.
So, so for those students that we're serving on a global basis, the program with Pathway is really aimed at, we call it the hidden many. And people that it's really about providing access to higher education. It's helping them develop their own temporal self-reliance and their ability to earn. So our approach also, by the way, is certificate first. So the structure of the degree are 3 skills-based certificates of 15 credits each. So they're getting about 45 to 50 credits of content in a discipline, and then the remaining is general education. But it's all focused on employer preparation and preparing these students around the world to get better jobs. And part of what we're doing as well is that we're helping these students who are in these remote locations get remote jobs with companies in the United States that are paying them, a wage that they could never make in Sierra Leone, for example, or Ghana or Nairobi or Brasilia. And so it's about acceleration, it's about cost, but it's also about preparing these graduates as quickly as they possibly can get through the program to better their personal lives, better the lives of their families, and really contribute to the well-being of society.
It's going to be interesting to see what happens, because typically there's going to be camps, right? There's going to be institutions and people like me that are going to go, this has changed the game. Overnight, it's changed everything that we know about higher ed, and visionaries are going to get on board with this, and they're going to innovate with their own programs and tap into a market, maybe revitalize higher education to many because of it. Then you're going to have some that go, you know what? That guy at Ensign College, he's just ruined higher ed. He's taken it 4 years and this experience, and he's just distilled it down to 3. And how could he possibly do that? Who does he think he is to help redefine this 4-year brick and mortar traditional 120 credit hours? Who does he think he is, this guy? I mean, have you thought about that?
Yeah. And, I guess our take on that is we're doing what we think is best to serve the students that we know that we serve and that we will serve going into the future. It may not be the answer for everybody, but it's the answer for us. And we won't apologize for it. We our board of trustees knew exactly what we were doing. They're very supportive of this. I would tell you, they've already approved our proposal for 90 credit degrees on our campus several months ago, obviously, before we could take it to the accreditor. They understand what we're doing. They understand why we're doing it. I would say to, for us, our focus is applied education. This is very much applied. We don't offer a liberal arts degree. Our degrees are in business and communications and information technology. I feel that that if we focus on outcomes, we are very focused on outcomes. So if we focus on outcomes, how much time is spent is, if we're achieving worthy outcomes that our accreditor believes in, that we believe in, that our board believes in, then we are meeting the standards that have been set for us and that we think are preparing our graduates really well for a great future. And so, are there other things that could be added to an education? Of course. And but for us and for what we're doing, I feel like if we can't adequately prepare a student in 90 credits to go out and be a contributing member of society and be a great employee, be a great leader, then something is amiss. That may be offensive to some people listening to this, but I think it should be sufficient for what we're trying to do in preparing a graduate to go be a great contributor to the world.
Epic. Attention.
Are you ready to elevate your institution's marketing and enrollment strategies? Join the EdUp Experience podcast at the Insights EDU conference, February 20th to 22nd in Phoenix, Arizona. Don't miss out on this opportunity to hear from engaging speakers from industry-leading companies like Google, LinkedIn, Adobe, and higher ed leaders. Learn the latest marketing and enrollment strategies to grow your programs. Register now at insightsedu.com and use promo code EdUp to save $50 off your registration.
Attention. Oh, yeah.
Join the movement to mobilize and revolutionize higher education by picking up your copy of Commencement, the Beginning of a New Era in Higher Education today. This book has been featured in Forbes, NPR, Harvard Business Review, CEO World Magazine, NBC News, CBS News, and Business Insider, among many others. Don't miss out on what today's highest college leaders have to say about the future of higher education. Pick up your copy on Amazon. Now, what's funny about what you're saying, not funny, but as I came from my alma mater, SUNY Oneonta, where I gave this talk, and I look back at my own transcripts, this has nothing to do with SUNY Oneonta and everything to do with me as a student. I had completed all the credits in my major and my minor that I needed to, but I needed to get to 120 so that I could get my degree. And if you go back and look at my senior year, I took racquetball. I took the philosophy and psychology of yoga, which I got a D in, by the way. So that was not positive. I took ballroom dancing, which was pass-fail. I passed. Ironically enough, I failed yoga, but passed ballroom dancing. I could cha-cha the heck out of something. And I look at that and go, I took those credits because I needed credits, and I was at that time a lazy college student. And so I didn't take mathematics to round out my time at university. I was like, I need something. So there was a bunch of courses, and that's just an example of some that I took, where because I moved fast in my first 3 years. And so I was like, what am I going to do with this last year? I could be out if I wanted to. It's just so powerful what you're saying, because I think you're so right. And I think that model proves itself when you look back at your own transcripts, and many of us could look back at our transcripts and go, why did I take that?
Yeah, because you had to
Right.
satisfy some arbitrary standard, So we're going to focus on the things that matter most, and really focusing on outcomes. And I think we're gonna be just fine.
Is that so? I'm guessing Sonny and Northwest Commission is saying, okay, innovation here, but we do need to come back and we need to get eyes on this, right? Ensign, you're going to have to make sure you're hitting these benchmarks. Outcomes, the learning outcomes have to be there. You're going to have to make sure these people are well prepared. We're going to come back around. We're going to take a look at what these outcomes were like.
Yeah, I mean, they were very clear in saying this is a pilot. We're considering this a pilot program, and we're saying, sure, we understand that it's brand new. It's something nobody's done before here. We get it, but we're not and you're right. There will be scrutiny. We will need to demonstrate that we're achieving outcomes and all the things that we've said that we will achieve. But I think from our perspective, there will be no going back. We're going to make this work.
Yeah, and there's one thing in saying it's a pilot, and then there's a bunch of other universities that are going to go, we want a pilot too. There's something to being a trailblazer in that you're first, right? So forevermore, your marketing will say something like the first ever college to offer a 3-year bachelor's degree or something like that, or at least that's the way I'd fashion it. Probably trademark that sucker. But there's scrutiny that comes with it, but also there's going to be others knocking at the door to do the same thing. Is this a secret sauce that you kind of unveiled a little bit of it? Is this a secret sauce that you've figured out now and you want to maintain? Is this a not so secret, but we were just pushing real hard on this and anybody kind of can do it? Where does it lie on that spectrum?
Well, I would tell you that tomorrow afternoon, I'm going to be on a Zoom call with a provost of a university, which will remain nameless. And I'll even keep the state confidential, but I live in the state of Utah. I'll just put it that way. And they want to know how we did what we did. And they're part of the Northwest Commission as well. So we're not going to be proprietary with this in any way. I mean, if somebody wants to give me a call and say, hey, how did you do it?
What if Joe Salustio calls you and asks you that question? Will you be taking that phone call?
I don't know. That one I might have to think twice about, but
would you stop screwing around?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, we would gladly have a conversation with anybody that wanted to have a conversation about it.
That's amazing. How do you feel? How does your team feel to have this come out and be put in Inside Higher Ed? I'll tell you this, and I don't know, I got to find other people and talk to them because I flipped out. I emailed, and I'll get my senior team in here. I emailed my senior management team, and I was like, look at this. I told you somebody. And I'm like, we got to go. We got to move. And I'm feeling this panic, like, a little bit like we got to move quickly. We're in a market. We have to do something. How do you feel, and how's your team feel to be at the front end of this?
The best way I could describe it is giddy.
Oh, yeah.
We just wanted to get after this. We just wanted to get it done. We weren't, we didn't sit around and say, hey, we're going to be the first in the country to get this done. Aren't we great? We just wanted to get it done because it was so important for the student base that we serve. And we really felt like it was, certainly we know it's leading edge, but we just felt strongly this was the right move for us. And but just really, really excited because we actually had to wait about 10 days longer than we would have hoped for to actually make the announcement. But it was staged along with some other announcements that were really strategic and important for our system. And so we had to wait until sort of the dust had settled on one announcement before we could make this one.
It's funny. One thing that comes to mind, because I when I saw that article come out, because of course you didn't tell me in advance, so I had to see it along with the regular population, even though we're buddies and I've had you co-hosting the podcast, but I don't want to bring that back up again. But I emailed a buddy of mine and I said, hey, 3-year degree gets approval at Ensign College and BYU. That colleague comes back to me and says, 3-year degrees have been around forever. Here's the university I know of that does a 3-year degree. And I said, aha, not a 4-year accelerated degree that you can do in 3 years. An actual 3-year degree now. The question is, when this pilot period is done, what else can you do with that time? Can you stack time? Can you offer alternating terms? Can you accelerate even a 3-year degree to become less? I mean, those are the questions that will start coming up, I think, as things evolve. Has anybody started thinking about that yet?
Oh, sure. So BYU Idaho and Ensign College, we are both on the same academic calendar. We have 3 semesters every year in our academic year. In the online world, we're moving to 7-week terms, and we will have 6 7-week terms in an academic year. So if someone, the math is easy.
Yep.
If somebody went to school year round, you could finish a bachelor's degree in 2 years, in 6 semesters at 15 credits a semester.
Now you're talking.
Yeah.
Right.
Now that would be probably an exceptional student that would do that, but 15 credits a semester for 6 semesters consecutively in 2 years. Some people will say, I can do anything in 2 years. I can endure anything. So it moves the needle even more for the student that is in a position to do that.
Amazing.
To your point, could be an exceptional student, but it's not about who, it's about that it's possible. If it's possible,
yes,
it's possible. So now, what if that student tries 15 and they go back down to 12 and they start moving through it, but that 3-year degree takes 2.5 years or 2 3/4 years? You're still reducing time to degree. You're doing so in a way where now you can really run some cost benefit analysis of seat time and how you've saved seat time and what that can do for a career. I just want to say congratulations. I'm probably as excited as your staff is because because I've been talking about this for a long time. And I've gotten to hear from presidents from Europe that go, yeah, we got a 3-year bachelor's degree in the UK, and what's the US doing? And I go, that's a darn good question. And to see somebody pop through in a pilot, I mean, I just give you so much credit. Congratulations to you and your team, because I know it takes a village. It really does to put something like this together. So you must have a very innovative and trustworthy team to do it. So congratulations. What do you want to say about your team? Anything?
Well, yeah, I mean, we are, the way I describe it is we're a scrappy lot. We are pretty entrepreneurial. So one of the things about Ensign College, and to a certain extent BYU Idaho, but more so here, is that before we became academics, or before we got into academia, almost to a person, we had careers in industry before we got into the academic world. And so there is this spirit of entrepreneurship and let's get things done, and that is pervasive amongst our faculty and our staff. And so we didn't cut our professional teeth on some of the traditions of higher education that maybe sometimes can inhibit innovation. And so we're small, we're scrappy, we're flexible, we're nimble. And so when we knew that we had the green light to put this proposal together, everybody got on board real quick and were really excited about, here are the options and here's what we can do, and isn't this great? So I do give them credit, because we didn't have to fight I guess a barrier of let's maintain the status quo for reasons that nobody could explain.
I like it. I like it a lot.
I do like it a lot, actually. And I get to ask you this question now that I asked you when you were a guest before, and I've asked several guests as you've co-hosted with me. And that question is, what do you see for the future of higher education? Kind of feels like your answer might be a little different this time.
Yeah, I hope that this will be a catalyst for people to rethink what they're doing and why they're doing it. I had a conversation with someone the other day. We've got a little mentoring program going with some of our employees, and the person that I'm mentoring, my question to him was, why do you do the things that you do here? What's the point of what you do? When you come to work every day and you do whatever it is that you do, why do you do it? And it caused him to think about some things that maybe he hadn't thought about before. So I guess my invitation would be, why are you doing what you do? And, I also understand, and I want to respect the mission and the purpose and the intent of every institution and what it is they're trying to achieve. We're not a research institution here. We're very practical, as I said, applied educational institution. And so we know why we do what we do. We were founded in 1886, and the things that those that have been influencers and given guidance to our institution since then have said that we should do and be, we're still striving to do that, but we're doing it in the 21st century with programs that are 21st century programs. So we're true to what we have been directed to be by our board of trustees. And I think for us, this is the right thing to do. Another institution may say, for us, this isn't the right thing to do because we have a different agenda. But I think what we do, and this is, I guess, the point. Again, I mean, no disrespect to a research institution, but our students are our first priority. And we are a teaching institution, and we are an institution to prepare our graduates to go into the world and make a difference and to be ready to work when they leave here. And so for us, a 90 credit degree makes all the sense in the world because we give them what they need to get that first job and then to know how to be prepared to go get that second job when that time comes. That's what we do. And so that's why this works for us. But we had to ask ourselves the question, why do we do what we do? And how can we do it better to better serve our students?
One of the most interesting things that will happen is how traditional higher education and those research institutions start to justify why something should take 4 years. You think about the way marketing is going to move in this. It's going to say, we can do this in 3. Another institution is going to say, well, you should go for the extra year, and here are the reasons why. But I think students are very, very financially savvy right now, and they respect and value their time. And if they can get something quicker, hello, Amazon, you want your package in 24 hours or less. I think the same is true for higher ed as we move that model up to a speed that I think meets market demand. Congratulations to you, Dr. Kusch, for innovation in higher education, which is like a holy grail sometimes to really achieve.
Yeah, it's fun. This is really fun. This is fun stuff. I worked for a provost a number of years ago, and we were doing some pretty fun things at BYU Idaho. And his comment often was, if you get up in the morning and you can't get excited about coming to work and doing some of this stuff, then there's something wrong with you. Yeah. And I kind of feel the same way. We talk about days never to be forgotten here, and to be able to be involved in these things and to particularly recognize how this is going to help the students that we serve. I can't think of anything better. I mean, it really, we all feel I suppose a call to a higher purpose and in the work that we're doing. And so we're all just really, really excited about how this is going to really be a blessing to students.
Well, I think that the second part of that, you are going to help your students tremendously, but your team will become a catalyst for others to help even more students across the country in higher education, and perhaps revitalize what a bunch of lumps that we've been taking from the public. And I think that's something that to remind the team of. I feel inspired by this. I know people that I talk to in my circle are inspired by it. So it goes to the students first and foremost, but you've inspired other higher ed educators to innovate.
Well, I would go back and repeat the offer, Joe, too, that, I'd be happy to have a conversation with anybody that wants to know how we did it and what we're doing and why we're doing it. And, I'd be happy to visit with anybody.
Please call Bruce between the hours of 12 a.m. and 6 a.m. on his cell phone, which I'm going to give you now at 555-1212. No, don't do that. But connect with Bruce on LinkedIn. You can find him. He's not hard to find. Bruce, it's always a pleasure to have you here on this podcast. Again, congratulations. The next time you come back, you're coming back as a guest host again. But we're going to try to turn this episode around quickly so we can get this EdUp exclusive out there to the masses.
Perfect.
Ladies and gentlemen, my guest, your guest, he's Dr. Bruce Kusch. He is the innovative president at Ensign College. Bruce, always a pleasure, my friend.
Thanks, Joe.
Ladies and gentlemen, you've just EdUp'd.
Oh, yeah.
Attention higher ed marketing and enrollment management professionals. We are taking the EdUp Experience podcast to Insights EDU. Join us at Insights EDU on February 20th to 22nd, 2024 in Phoenix, Arizona. Gain insight into the latest higher education trends and cutting-edge marketing strategies that'll take your institution's enrollment to a whole new level. This is your opportunity to connect with higher education leaders and marketing experts from across the country. Comprehensive presentations, engaging panel discussions, and more. Insights EDU will equip you to position your institution for growth. Register now at insightsedu.com and use the code EdUp to save $50 off your registration. Can you afford to miss this conference?
I don't think so. Attention.
Forbes called commencement the beginning of a new era in higher education, a dispensable touch point for what's being said in, about, and around higher education now. Don't miss the insights from 125 college and university presidents about what the future of higher education holds. Pick up your copy of Commencement on Amazon today.